Also, why this video isn't about the BC time period, simply because if you go that far back, you have to account for Europeans or the Mediterranean type coming down. You have to account for that. So they was coming down way before the Moors went to Spain. They was coming down and spreading out here. So once you go from this page to this map, you had them up here like this on the outskirts for fertile land. This is why this video isn't about that. You got to keep it honest with yourself. And also, before 7-Eleven, you had the same thing happening with their invasion, with the Carthaginians and stuff like that. So these people are already mixed up, man. Also, if you want to learn more about these Moors and how they coming from, shout out to Dr. Ivan Van Sertima for showing me, or leading me to this book. You go here. White Moors, to go to word again. Also, you want to learn about tawny Moors and stuff like that. But anyway, man, I'm dealing with the reality from 7-Eleven up to today. Showing you who the Moors were. Hold up, I haven't actually got there for you yet, huh? All right. Let's deal with that part right now, about who the Moors actually were and were there black people with the Moors. Because like I stated in my other video, there were black people with the Moors in Spain. But here's the reality check. And before I go farther, let me say this. I am 100% analytical. That means I depend on the data. I don't care about beliefs. I don't have an ideology. I am 100% analytical. I don't care about your belief. I let the data do all of the talking. So, when the Moors went into Spain, they sent the Sudan in before them or with them. Meaning they sent black people into Spain. Which is also saying the blacks were slaves during this conquering or this invasion. No, black people did not rule Spain. That's just a myth. No, the majority of the Moors were not black. They're just a myth. How do I know that there were blacks in Spain? I'll show you. This is how the world knows there was blacks going in to conquer Spain. You go to this guy. You go here. When Tariq crossed the sea, he came out at the mountain named after him and sent for the Sudan to make war. When the Goths saw these frightful forms, they were terrified. The Sudan used to take Gothic and Christian prisoners and slaughter them and showed that they were going to eat them. This increased their fear and terror. Now we go to note 2. The allusion is to the Arab invasion of Spain under Tariq ibn Zayed, or whatever the name is. As far as is known, no other writer reports the presence of blacks in Tariq's army. And like I said about the name in my other video, we don't even know if that's his full name. We can also go to Black Morocco. Hold up one second. All right, from the book Black Morocco, we go to page 115. Here goes another little piece on Tariq and the Black Africans. So pause that and read it for yourself. Make sure you get a good shot of it. Here it goes. All right, pause and read there. And read here for yourself. So pause it and read there. All right, so here goes another one. But when I say the blacks were slaves, I'm not just pulling it out my ass. Blacks were Moors like the others, though they're slaves. So pause that and read it for yourself. I know it's some hurtful stuff to read. And I know everybody want to focus on Johnny Come Lately, which is the Europeans. But where did Johnny Come Lately get this stuff from about racism? They got it from the Arabs and the Berbers. And in order for you to fully understand it, you gotta turn east and look east. I hit up my one of my favorite authors. Hold on, I'm pressing button. One of my favorite authors. And he put it to me quite simply. Hopefully I can put the email in here, what he told me. But basically he said most of our brothers don't know anything about the Arab slave trade. And that's an honest statement. What most people will say is, oh man, it wasn't nothing like the West. It was nothing like slavery in America. It was nothing like that. Slaves had status. And to that I say, man, set the F up forever. How you gonna cut a man balls off and tell him that it's not as bad? And you gotta keep in mind that slavery on this side, slavery in Africa, slavery in the Middle East, the recommendation by the Arabs was to the belly. When you study slavery in the Middle East and in Africa, you gotta be aware of an Islamic apologist. I like this book. This book is from my brothers in Nigeria, but they are Islamic apologists. They make every excuse. And my guy John, he actually warns people about that. He said you got to beware of Islamic apologists. Whenever you bring up slavery in Africa or in the Middle East, they thinking that you're attacking Islam, but in reality you're not. You're just asking about slavery and trying to get a better clarification on slavery. But they look at it as you're attacking Islam, and they also have an apprehension for the West in America. So they'll just point their finger at America and say, oh, America is the big bad guys. Europe is the big bad guys. And just like a lot of other amateurs, they'll accept it as wholesale and focus mainly on the transatlantic slave trade. In reality, the Arab slave trade was much longer, and the Arab slave trade was much worse. And I don't mean to try to create a hierarchy of people suffering, but the Arab slave trade was way worse than American. Why? Because the Arab slave trade still goes on to this very day. Also, I be studying African slavery, and I just can't find it. No indigenous African slavery. You won't find it. In the Veil genocide, he actually goes all the way back to the Pharaonic time period. He makes some statements that I actually got to verify. But you got to be able to, man, I'm not even going to go all the way there right now, man, because this video is about the Moors. So let's get back to the Moors and how we know that the blacks were slaves. And yes, they were enslaved due to their color of their skin. Al-Nasiri, Khalid al-Nasiri actually states that. And actually in this book, people were enslaved just because of the color of their skin. Also, one more thing before I move forward about and showing you some pictures of black slaves. In this book, Ahmed Baba, I actually got this book directly from Morocco. It's the English and the Arabic. And how he actually recommends enslavement of other blacks. He's no longer an indigenous African. They say Ahmed Baba was a Berber. or maybe even a pale skinned Berber. But he was an African and he recommended slavery to other Africans. It's a dope book, man. I think everybody should get it. This is what he quotes this book. Basically, every Islamic book you can find that has Ahmed Baba names in it, they quote this text. So this is a direct source. These are his words. But let's get back to the Moors.
Back to you. There's something, Tandia, I know you are poised and ready to speak. There's something I want to ask you first. Would you explain for us? And that is, there's a very complicated ethnic breakdown for Mauritania that outsiders have no idea what we're talking about. We've got white Moors and black Moors and Afro-Mauritanians. Can you just give us a very quick summary of the ethnic breakdown of Mauritania?
Yeah, I think this is a very important point in order for people to understand exactly what is taking place. To give a full picture of the population, the composition of the population is very important. In Mauritania, we have, the white Moors, we have the black Moors who are slaves and Haratins. We have the black Moors who are slaves and Haratins. And then you have the Negro Africans. In the context of Mauritania, it's politically correct to to describe them as Negro Africans, living mainly in the south. They include Fulani, Soninke, Wolof, and Bambara. So, in the context of Mauritania, when you consider, the color of the skin, Haratin and the foremost and slaves are included in the black community. So the black Mauritanian community represent, more than 70 to 75% of the population.
So let me just see if I can make this clearer. It's not about black and white in Mauritania, or are you saying it is about black and white?
It's very misleading.
All right, so is that Nasser that's saying that?
Yes.
Okay, hold on,
yes.
Tandia. Nasser, go ahead.
My point is that, for
Right.
a lot more Moors like myself. I could point to somebody like the Emir Abdurrahman al-Sweid Ahmed, who in the social pyramid will be basically at the very top of the pyramid. He looks like a black man.
And explain that to our international audience, and who is that person?
Abdurrahman al-Sweid Ahmed, who's no longer with us, is the Emir, basically, of the Taganit area.
All right.
Which is basically the highest social rank anybody could achieve in Moorish society. So going strictly by the Western American black over white, it doesn't quite cut it.
So it's not strictly a black and white issue.
No, I don't agree at all.
Okay.
Pointing to one person to explain a situation is not a viable, argument. We have a situation, statistically, speaking, we have blacks and the Arabs in Mauritania. So there are always, exceptional situations. Exceptional situations should not be, the general rule. So that is, the point I am trying to make.
You see, what I find fascinating about you saying that is because, Nasser, I hope you don't mind me telling this, but in your family heritage, you actually own slaves.